Hello, nerds! Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is your Week in Nerdom TV edition for the week of January 22nd, 2018. This week in TV news, we have news on The Tick, The Flash, The Walking Dead, some incredible announcements for new series that are out on the horizon but not too far off in the distance. But before we get to all that, let's do this real quick.
Quiet on the set, rolling.
Hi, I am Bitsy Telek.
Hey, I'm Hale Appleman.
I'm Walter Kane.
I'm Rene Aubergenois. Odo on Deep Space Nine.
Michael Dorn, Lieutenant Commander Worf, Star Trek The Next Generation.
Come and see me and hear me and talk to me and listen to me talk about myself.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, often considered generally nerdy, and you are listening to what is often considered generally nerdy.
On Generally Nerdy.
You're listening to
Generally Nerdy.
Generally Nerdy.
Generally nerdy.
To start this week's TV update, we have apparently we are getting a TV adaptation for Y the Last Man, a comic from Image, I believe, that is gonna be on FX. It sounds like they're going forward. We just heard from their CEO John Landgraf. While it was the thing that we talked about last week that I couldn't remember what it was, I wrote it down this week. Yay! The Television Critics Association press tour. That is when he announced that we're getting Y the Last Man. They feel confident going forward with it. So it sounds like maybe they have a solid script for the pilot, and they just have to cast it and shoot it, and then perhaps that will then lead into the shooting of the entire series if it goes over well. So interesting, but not a whole lot of news there. Next up, we have Umbrella Academy. Why is this studded comic books? Because they're putting it on Netflix. They began production. Gabriel Ba, the artist for the comic book series, posted a picture of him and Gerard Way on his Twitter, and in it, it was them holding a cue card and talking and saying, you know, production's underway. So production's underway, and we're gonna get Umbrella Academy, and hopefully it's good. I don't read the books, so I don't know what to expect. I need to brush up on that before it airs. But if they just started production on it, we're still a few months out on that. But yeah, cool update on Umbrella Academy. We've talked about it at least once before, so production has begun. Let's move on. Next, we're talking real quick, The Tick. Spoon! Yes, that guy. Just got renewed for season 2. The second half of season 1 has yet to start airing, but I'm super excited about it. And now we're gonna get 8 more episodes, so that's even better. Thank you very much, Amazon, for doing that for the world, because like I said before, I really enjoy their new take on this character. He's still dim-witted as ever, but the world around him is so much more in depth and meaningful now, so that's pretty awesome. But next up, we have X-Files. Who forgot to talk about X-Files last week on the podcast? I did. That's me. Yay. So we have 2 episodes to catch up on. Last week's episode, oh boy, episode 2 was kind of the come down from everything that was episode 1. You know what I mean? Like it was like, all right, so Mulder has to be clued into what Scully knows, and things need to happen. Last week's episode was a one-off episode. Every season there are certain episodes that they kind of follow about, I think it's like 3 or 4 different episode types. They have mythology episodes, 3. Mythology episodes, Monster of the Week episodes, and Goofy episodes. So our first 2 episodes, 1 and 2, were mythology episodes, and those expand the universe of the X-Files. Those get us deeper into the conspiracies. Those do all of the things that the X-Files is known for. The episode last week was a Monster of the Week episode where there's no real depth to it. There might be some elements that kind of expand on what we already know about some of the characters or the overarching plot or whatever, but primarily it focuses on them catching the bad guy, or figuring out what the monster is and where it came from, a la Supernatural-ish. So that was last week. It was solid. A little less cathartic than I was hoping, because you never figured out how it was that the brother and sister were killing the people. You just saw them kill each other, kind of. Spoilers, I guess, but whatever. Next week's episode, so the episode that will air this coming Wednesday, it looks like this is going to be our Goofy episode. Just the preview, and I'll put a link to the trailer in the description down below. But the preview definitely looks like we're going to be laughing, because Mulder has a moment where he's yelling at the bad guys in a very comedic, like comic book-esque way, and yeah, so keep your eyes peeled for episode 4. It's going to be, I think, one of 2 Goofy episodes for the season. But we are continuing on next. We're talking Supernatural. Speaking of Supernatural, the Wayward Sisters episode aired this week. I have to say it is a lot more solid than their Supernatural Bloodlines show that they tried to do the backdoor pilot for a few seasons ago. Still not quite the same quality as the Supernatural proper, but I bet this one gets a proper season. Come next season, we will very likely be seeing Wayward Sisters. Just considering the social climate of our society right now, and it was better than some stuff that's on TV, better than a fair amount of stuff that's on TV. I'll give it that for sure. I feel like they're going to have a little bit of an issue with their target audience, because their target audience are girls, because the Supernatural audience is vastly female. Their target audience is, they're trying to capitalize on that by doing a female-centric show, but they're going to run into issues because it seems that it takes 4 or 5 women to do what it takes 2 men to do in the proper series. So that's probably going to get some flack. Aside from that, the acting was a little meh. I can't remember the girl's name that it's focusing on, the blonde girl, Castiel's host body's daughter. I can't remember her name right now. But she has moments where she's like, all right, I can see why they chose her as a lead. And the rest of the time it's like, man, she just needs to stay in the background and let some of these other actors, because some of these chicks are good actors. The sheriff, I can't think of her name. The sheriff is a really good actor. I should have wrote down all of the names of the actors. I'm sorry, don't kill me, internet. But yeah, definitely, if you haven't seen this episode of Wayward Sisters, or Supernatural, if you will, it's episode 10. It's great. Again, a subpar when you compare it to the series it's coming from, but still pretty good. I would definitely give it. So when Inhumans came out, I was going to give it a season because it was really bad, and it didn't even make it a season. So there's that. This series, I will give at least 2 seasons, probably 3 seasons, before I submit final judgment on as to whether or not it's going to survive. I would honestly be, I don't know, I'm kind of 50-50 whether or not it's actually going to make it to 3 seasons, but I do think they're going to get at least 2 seasons out of this pilot. So that's pretty cool. But next on the list, we are talking about The Flash. We don't talk about The Flash a lot because I'm super far behind on it. That and Gotham, I'm really far behind on, so I don't talk about them much. I don't talk about Gotham much as well because it's not that great. I mean, David Mazouz, or however you say that kid's last name, is a really good actor. The cat who plays Alfred's really good, and the cat who plays Jim Gordon is really good. But the surrounding cast of characters around that, excluding Marina Baccarin for a few episodes, is really subpar. And then the writing is atrocious. So that's why we don't really talk about Gotham. I'm just really far behind on Flash. I really, really like The Flash. I binge watched the first 3 seasons when I started getting into it. I just every time I had a free moment to watch some TV, I was watching The Flash. But now I'm about a season behind just because life happens. So I no real spoilers aside from the fact that next week's next week's episode, one of the guest stars is going to be Bill Goldberg. You know, the guy from the WCW, or Greenberg, as some of the wrestlers called him. I was back in the day when I watched wrestling, back when it was WCW and WWF, I loved Goldberg. He was like the one I wanted to watch all the time. And then things happened and his career kind of took a little bit of a turn. But he's still doing things, and this is one of the things he's doing, so I thought it was worth mentioning. It's really cool to see somebody from my childhood still working, still in ridiculous shape, and on a show that I really enjoy. So there is that. I couldn't say who he's going to be or anything because, like I said, I try to stay away from that stuff until I catch up. But we are moving on down the road. We are talking The Walking Dead. Couple of updates. I could have updated last week on the new showrunner in Angela Kang, because that's when it was announced, was last week, but I didn't because I didn't think it was that big of a deal. She's been around. She's been a staff writer since the 2nd season. She's been an executive producer. I didn't write down what season she started being a producer, but she's been a producer for a few seasons at least. She is replacing Scott Gimple, who was the old showrunner, who has been showrunner since season 4, I believe. Might have been season 5. So we're going to see a little bit of a turn in the course. Hopefully we're going to get a drop of the Negan storyline, because I honestly feel like this storyline could have been wrapped up by mid-season and we could be moving into another comic book related storyline by now. But so that's not the biggest thing, because, like I said, it's relatively minor because it's just a shuffling of the characters, because Scott Gimple is still going to be on the team. He just got promoted to Chief Content Officer. But yeah, the big thing about this is we officially got the announcement that we have a renewal for season 9. So next year, in October, we will get a 9th season of The Walking Dead. Perhaps, if the ratings keep where they're at, it might be the last season, although it still gets pretty good ratings by comparison, especially considering it's a basic cable show and not a broadcast show. So there is that. But we won't know until probably this time next year. And then, not our last bit, but our second to last bit is the Paramount Network. Now, I know probably most of you don't know what that is, unless you have cable, and your cable package includes the channel Spike TV. So, as of Tuesday, as of the 18th, so Monday, as of Monday, Spike TV is no more, and now it's called the Paramount Network. And on the Paramount Network, we have basically a bunch of recycled stuff that Spike was already running because they're gearing it up to something different. So the things that stuck around are rehash shows like Friends, Cops, and 2.5 Men. Some shows that were original to Spike are sticking around, like Lip Sync Battle, and then all of those tattoo shows that they run. And then they also started with a very small handful of originals. One called Waco, that is a dramatization of the happenings in Waco, Texas back in the 90s. One called Yellowstone that stars Kevin Costner. And soon we're getting a Vampire Chronicles show on cable. I don't know. I can't remember if Spike is basic cable or if you have to get like the next package up from basic. But it's still not premium. It's still not HBO or Showtime. So they're gonna have to neuter the Vampire Chronicles, which kind of sucks because there's a lot about that. I mean, I don't know. The TV is loosening up its morals in recent years. So maybe they won't have to neuter it as much. But I'm going to give it a shot just to see what happens. Are you guys looking forward to a potential Vampire Chronicles? Like, this is Vampire Chronicles like Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles. Like, she and her son are involved in the making of this series from what I've heard. So that's why I'm looking forward to it. Are you guys looking forward to a Vampire Chronicles series, rather, not just movie, series? Definitely, let's start that conversation in the comments. But we're moving on to our last bit. Black Lightning aired the premiere episode this week for Black Lightning, and I don't know. It's a little mixed for me. There's a lot of politics in Black Lightning. Now, it's not necessarily bad. It's actually very well acted. I really dig the cat in the lead. I can't think of his name. He's been in a bunch of stuff. They just interject this narrative from mainstream news media right now that kind of has basis in reality, but by and large is just fantasy. Or like isolated incidents that get blown up into the actual narrative that exists in the world, and actual facts kind of fall to the wayside. So that kind of sticks under my craw a little bit, but like I said, it is pretty well acted. I really dig the dude who is playing Black Lightning. I really dig, actually, the girl who plays his daughter when she's not being a completely insufferable brat. But I don't know. What did you guys think of the premiere episode of Black Lightning? We will definitely talk about that down low and probably keep it in the conversation for a little while just to see what happens with that series. But that is where I'm ending this week's TV episode. If you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net, where you can find all the social media links and all kinds of extra bits and things for free. But if you want to help the conversation, then jump over to patreon.com/generallynerdy, and you can start supporting the channel for just $1 a month, and you get early access for that $1. Or if you want to give me some more monies, then you get some more perks. It kind of works out nicely that way. If you are new to the channel while you're here on YouTube, click that subscribe button. If you like the video, click the like button. There's a subscribe button above my head at this point. If you've been missing out on your nerd news and you need to catch up, click or tap on that icon to the left of my face right now. But before you go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.